Okay. Ignore that. We're going to try this again. Hi, my name is Jinx. I am a security researcher, and I'm not going to say want to be security researcher anymore because I actually do research these things and look things up, and that's part of being a researcher, right? It's crazy. So, anyways, what we're about to do is so that way I can become a better cybersecurity professional. We are going to go ahead and we're going to actually do some boxes, some forensic boxes live on stream. So that way, if we fail, we can fail together. So, let me see if the person I'm waiting for is here yet. I'm actually really surprised there's no issues streaming yet, and I was expecting for it to just be a nightmare. Yep, give us a second. Okay, so let's go ahead and boot this bad boy up. Full screen, please. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and log in. We'll move over to our Hack the Box account, log in, and we'll get started on the fun shenanigans. So we're gonna just kill the video feed really quick. Just really quick. I'm gonna log in. Then we'll continue the tomfoolery. You know what would help is if I use the right account to log in. That would probably be great. We're just struggling over here, guys. Don't worry. Alright, pop this bad boy back on. Let's go ahead and we'll go into the labs. Alright, and we have our MVP of the day, Katie, in here, so that's really what this is for. Okay. So let's go ahead and we'll go into Sherlock's. Now, normally I'd use a VPN connection to get connected to their network, but these exercises specifically do not require internet connection. You just download the shit. So as you guys can see, I've done some of these already, but I still think it's good for us to go ahead and do them again. So that way we can learn stuff. Learning's important. So let's see, we should have got that file. Jesus. Oh yeah, I forgot, I use this regularly. So while we're here, we're also going to get more organized. Okay. So let's go to show all downloads and we'll open up this folder. Now you can see it's a mess. So what we're going to do is, minus my little VPN file, we're just going to clear all this out. Reason being, A, I have a copy, but B, with us working on making things neater and more friendly, it's probably a good idea to start setting up our folder structures. Okay, so go here. Look at that. We've already started doing some of that. So let's make our HTB Sherlock folder. Let's take good old Brutus. Let's move this into documents, actually. Okay. Put Brutus in there. Let's unzip Brutus. A lot of people will just use the terminal to unzip stuff. I'm not that fancy schmancy. It's a lot easier for me to just do it from here. Because convenience. Not everything is about doing everything to the utmost. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with our first question. Well, let's go through the scenario. So, in this very easy Sherlock, you will familiarize yourself with Unix auth logs and WTMP logs. We'll explore a scenario where a Confluent server was brute forced via its SSH service. After gaining access to the server, the attacker performed additional activities which we can track using authlog. Although authlog is primarily used for brute force analysis, we will delve into the full potential of this artifact in our investigation, including aspects of privilege escalation, persistence, and even some command visibility into command execution. So we're going to see what this person did when they got in here. Now, once again, you can see what I've already done, but we're not going to pay attention to that. We're just going to jump in, and we're going to look at this authlog first. Now, it looks really ugly, because it looks like it's just a whole bunch of text, but let's be smart here. Let's just look through this. So, we're investigating, and I know that it looks like I'm scrolling through carelessly. It's more that I'm looking to see if the IP changed at all. So there were no IP changes when this happened. Let's keep on looking. So we see these different sessions and things being opened and closed. So nothing has really changed. Then we got this right here. Something odd. Invalid user admin from 65.2.161.68. So they failed. Then it disconnected. But you see, they try again. And they keep on trying. Why aren't you scrolling? There we go. So, you can see, they try to get in, they fail, and they keep on trying to get in through this log. get in according to this log. Authentication failure, authentication failure, authentication failure. Invalid user admin 4 times. This guy has still not gotten in. Oh, quick thing while we're here. Let's talk about taking notes. Um, Taking notes is something that I've had to work on because I am not the best at it. But with us taking notes, what we can do is it will allow us to go back and actually build out a timeline of how these things happen. So, if I'm not mistaken, Kali Linux comes with Cherry Tree, I think. Yeah, comes with Cherry Tree. Now, um, me personally, what I think I would do, besides using Cherry Tree, is that a lot of people use their code editor. So, for this machine, I think it's Visual Studio. Yep. Well, sorry, we have Visual. I think it's the open source version of Visual Studio. So let's crack this bad boy open. And we'll ignore everything else. Click new file. We can do a Jupyter notebook, but I'm not going to. I just want a regular old blase text file. So let's go back to the log. We see all these different failed events. They're all happening on the 6th. So let's record when the brute force began. We see our first instance of it at, oh my goodness, all of these are happening at 6:31. So they're literally just slamming the server. And it looks like it stops right here when they get accepted. So what we'll do is we'll pull up our notes. So this is for Brutus. Let me move my mic so that way y'all don't have to hear my loud ass typing. Okay, excellent. So this is for Brutus. The Brutus box, which was very easy. Now we can go back, we can freshen these notes up later, but right now we're just trying to get this shit out. So, scroll back up. I believe I said it was at 31 when we had our first instance of brute forcing. So right here, 6:31:31. So all right. We should also probably put the port on there just because it's going to be a good habit. Alright, so now we're just going to let this brute force just keep on going. Also, you can see they check different usernames too. Valid password for backup, for user admin. Admin. Server admin. Server admin. We'll just look for where this guy gets in finally. Let's try to use the SVC account. Now, what this looks like to me, just from my eyes, is this is a brute force attack using a word list. It's going through the names, and then it's just going to sit there and use those names over and over and over again to test the password. Then it'll go to the next name. It'll keep on going like that in a cycle until it finds the right one. And here we are, boom. User is root. So their main account that they're using is root, which is, a little weird, but okay, so it's not weird. Normally, as a precaution, we would shut down that account, or we would change the password on that account, because default passwords are often a entry point for attackers to use to go in there and mess with all your stuff. So let's note right here at 6:31:40, it took him 9 seconds, but he got it. And 9 seconds is precious, precious money in the world of business. So we successfully logged in. Login. Let's do the log entry number. Log entry 283. I'm going out of order. See, this is why we do this live, so that way we can stumble through this together to get our methodology down. And we see that new root session. Now, I probably should actually say that it's this 281. User logged into successfully. In session opened. Alright, so let's go back to our questions really quick and see what we can answer. So, analyze the auth log. What is the IP address used by the attacker to carry out a brute force attack? So, we already have it in our notes right there. Brute force attack at 6:31:31. Okay, so we got that. The brute force attempts were successful and attacker gained access to an account on the server. What is the username of the account? Got that. It's root. Right there. So, next one. Identify the timestamp when the attacker logged in manually to the server and established a terminal session to carry out their objectives. The login time will be different than the authentication time. It can be found in the WTMP artifact. So let's go look at our WTMP artifact, shall we? Pop over here. Let's open this up. So, we're going to use mousepad. If mousepad doesn't work, you know what we're going to do? We're going to use our good old friend Google to figure out how to open this file. I'm in the belief that, oh my goodness. Even though this is ugly, we can still get information from this. But let's go ahead and answer this question. One second. So let's go ahead and answer this question of how will we open a WTMP file? See, knowing how to Google is very important, because sometimes, honestly, you're gonna have to Google. Like, it's just part of the game. Look, guys, we're gonna learn how to do this. Because I already know how, but I forgot apparently, because I've solved this before. Okay, so yeah, let's look at it in the terminal then. Let's do that. Pop open our terminal, figure out where we're at. Let's go. CD documents. HTTP Sherlock. Now let's do cat WTMP. A little bit more readable, but not as much as I would like for it to be. We're just scrolling along until we learn something. Let's see what you got for us. You know what? Let's pause right quick. Let's try using this -f command. Let's try that first. So dashed last -f WTMP. And if we don't find the answer, we will maneuver through it, and I will get back with an answer. That much I will do. UTMP dump. Let's try UTMP dump. Let's see if we have that available. UTMP dump. Boo. Let's try this. That did not help. Goodness gracious. Alright, so, you know what? Fuck it. We're gonna do it this way. What was the question? Identify the timestamp and look at the WTMP artifact. Are we even getting timestamps when we're looking at this? Nope. So, let's go look at our write-up and see what our write-up has to offer when it comes to reading UTMP logs. Thank you, Cyber Junkie. You are appreciated. The last command. Let's look at something here. Am I making this difficult intentionally? No, I'm not. Okay, cool. Had to make sure there. So let's get back out of that and let's go back to our terminal. And they said to use what? Last WTMP. That's why we have our tool. Hey. Okay, so now that we know that, let's do that. Python 3. So we'll do UTMP-O for output, UTMP.py-O for output, then WTMP out, then the file. Alright, so now, oops. Look how much better that looks. Oh my god. Love it. Alright, so let's go ahead and answer these questions that we have for these things. So the question was, I think it was login time if I'm not mistaken. Let me go look. Login time. I'm sorry, session establishment time. Alright, so here we're gonna go. Let's see if there's if they give a recommendation on how to read this a little bit easier. This cat WTMP out, which I did too. Now, this may be an important thing to note. These times are in UTC time. They're not in our normal American times, for lack of a better term. So there's a chance we're going to have to convert these. Now, you can see where it says 2024-0305. There's two ways you can go about doing this. We can go and we can look at, we knew it was at 6:31 they got in, so we can safely assume that it's this session right here. So that's when the root session was established from that IP address, and that was the host. Now, let's see, what format does hackthebox want this in? So, you see, they want the time conversion. That's where most people will get caught up. I need to put on my glasses. I can't see anything. Alright. So, what was I just saying? My brain is failing. This is normal, by the way. This is like a regular thing. Okay, so other way that we can do this is we can find the time difference from whatever this is to UTC. Now, actually, it probably is better if you do it off the hints, but let's go ahead and look at this really quick, and that way we can kind of know what UTC time it is wherever we're at any given point in time. So this is 6:31. If we go and look at our log, so that is 11:32. So let's go ahead and rewind back to 11:31, which that's the time we're going to use to convert this. So 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So from where this is reported, 7-hour time difference. Now let's go ahead and just do some quick Googling here. Go away. Let's do some quick Googling here. Let's do UTC plus 7, because I do believe that is Eastern time. UTC plus 7. That's mountain time. That right there is mountain time. That's my own time zone, which makes it even easier. So, that means if I go 7 hours ahead, 7 hours back from my time, I will have UTC. That's useful. So, with military background, a lot of times we work off of UTC or Zulu time. So, that's the mission time. That's the time that we normally have in our heads. It's just a good thing to have because when it comes to coordinating things, that is what most people use. Alright, so next question. SSH login sessions are tracked and assigned a session number upon login. What is the session number assigned to the attacker session for the user account from question 2? Which I do believe we already answered in our notes. We didn't. Ooh, they got us. Okay. Okay, so it wasn't assigned a session in this. That's what I wanted to check really quick. We have a PID though. So let's go back and let's look at where the session number is. Session 37. So for my future notes, I should probably session 37 open. That's probably so that way anyone who's investigating, they can go back and look at the session. So we know it's 37. The attacker added a new user as part of their persistence strategy on the server and gave this new user account higher privileges. What is the name of this account? So let's go back. Why did I have this open up in mousepad? That's the real question. Let's go back to that. Okay. Let's find the new user that was created. Look, it's right there. After we log in, he makes the new user at 6:34:18. So, let's put that in our notes. User cyber junkie created at 06:34. And we'll move this back to the beginning. And this is number... We can start reading at 3:33. Okay. So we know that it made cyber junkie, and look, there's our password in clear text too. Okay, let's go back. We know we got cyber junkie. What is the MITRE attack? Okay, so now we're gonna go into something that's a little bit it's leaning more towards doing threat intelligence. Okay. So MITRE is a framework that was developed, I do believe it's not DoD developed, but just DoD sponsored. Let's go to MITRE attack. Whoopsie. Don't want to do that. My bad. Jeez, I need to get my Googling under control. Not MITRE. What is going on with my brain? Okay, there we go. We're good now. So go to MITRE. Let's look at their attack framework. And from there, we'll get our answers. Give me the giant chart of all the different stuff. this is what we're looking for. You can find this on different websites. I wanted to go directly to MITRE because I figured it'd be a little bit better. So, what our question was, what is the MITRE attack sub-technique ID used for persistence by creating a new account? So let's find create account right here, T1136. Okay, so the way that MITRE works, this is actually really useful information. The way that MITRE works is they assign IDs to, excuse me, they assign IDs to everything. So that way, as analysts and investigators, we're able to find what we need, and we're able to assign something to it, which then allows us to distribute that intelligence to the community. Thus, what that will do is make this beautiful chart. And if you need to break things down in this chart, you can. That way you can get all the sub-techniques as well as the techniques up there. The side view versus the flat view. You can look at different platforms to see what is common. Cloud, that's going to be a useful one. But yeah, the MITRE is actually really cool and super useful when it comes to the threat intelligence community and being able to assign these things to these techniques to a name and a title and associate them with different groups that attack. So that's super cool. I don't really talk about it too much because I'm like, oh, it's just there. But it's quite possibly one of the most useful tools to have. And that's simply because you're able to flex and move how you need to find different adversaries and different APTs, whatever it may be, and how they're operating. Because a lot of them have patterns, because these bots may be scripted, not like live hands-on keyboard hacking. So, back to what we were saying. Let's go look for create an account. And what kind of account did they make? That's our next question. It looks like it's local, just because it has the /etc and it's being logged into on the server, so this is probably a local account. So with it being a local account, we'll assign it. I think it's the .01 sub-technique. Yep, .001 sub-technique. Which, boom, it's right there. So what time did the attacker's first session end according to our authentication log? Let's look at that. Looks like we got out at 6:37:34. So let's put that in our notes. Yep, that's what we wanted. So that's when that first session ended. The attacker logged into their backdoor account and utilized their higher privileges to download a script. What is a full command executed using sudo? So let's go ahead and find that. I don't think it's going to be in our auth log because, oh, hey, I was wrong. Look at that. The auth log, because you have to log in and use root commands. So another very important thing to kind of think about here, because the question actually actively states, hey, they use sudo to log in. There it is. What is a full command executed using sudo? So, because they're using higher privileges, that means they have to re-authenticate. So that way they can be like, yeah, we are who we say we are. So, it's going to pop up in your auth log. And there it is right there. User ban curl. They're getting limper. So now let's go look at something else really quick, just for funsies here. Will that pop up in our other log? I don't think it will. No, it just shows them logging in. I mean, logging out. So yeah, the auth log is where we'll find that information. So, and look, that's the end of our investigation. How? Let's edit our notes a little bit. This is that going the extra step to be a great investigator. So we have all our answers. Now, let's make sure we get all the information that we would want to someone to give us if we were troubleshooting this. And that's kind of how I think about it. If I was the one that was troubleshooting it, what information would I want? So let's start with the IP address. I want that in there. They were using SSH to log in, so that's important. We have that. Let's see what else. Let's make an additional section here. So, attacker is using was using a generic style word list. Because I mean, they're going through the same accounts over and over again. That's definitely a word list. There it is. And it was at 639.38. Oopsie. So, at I did say 38. Yep. So that's when that command was activated and used. So let's go see what that is. Linux Persistence Toolkit. Okay. So, hey, that's all we need to do. And so let's make sure we save our notes. Documents, HTTP Sherlock. And hey, that's our first box, guys. Pads on the backs, high fives all around. Let's keep going. Okay. I did click retired, didn't I? It did say retired for Sherlock. Okay, cool. Excuse me. So, before we start, let's just look at all the. We have 14 questions. So, before we start, I'm going to take a moment, then I'll come back and we'll continue, okay? So, we will be back here shortly. Pause. we're back. Let's see if we have time to do one more. We've saved everything that we need to, I think. So, dream job. Let's look at this. Give me that zip. Let's clean this up a little bit here. Okay. Okay. So now let's make a new folder called DreamJob1. Go in here. Move this. Create folder. Dream1 notes and artifacts. I'm breaking the rule of only using underscores and names, which oopsie. But you know, that's okay. So this one is actually kind of fun. Oh, I got rid of code. Whoopsie. Yeah, I know it couldn't be found because I used it. Duh. Alright, let's take a look at what we got. Scenario. You are a junior threat intelligence analyst at a cybersecurity firm. You have been tasked with investigating a cyber espionage campaign known as Operation DreamJob. The goal is to gather crucial information about this operation. Alright. Let's get rid of that and that and that. And let's pull up what they gave us. Hashes. They gave us hashes. So let's learn about why these are so valuable. First question, who conducted Operation DreamJob? So what we're going to do, there's a useful site called VirusTotal. There's like 90 different engines that exist. VirusTotal is just the one that comes to mind most of the time first. Because all I can see is just their design. That's literally it. So we're going to see if it'll let us put in the whole file. Of course it did, but it didn't do all of them. It only, actually no, it didn't do any of them. That's a jacked up. Let's sometimes manually copy and pasting is a little bit better. So we're able to see that all these different engines are detecting this, except for these down here. Okay. So in VirusTotal, we'll get our detection, which is who detected it. Interesting. But it points out who detected what and who didn't, and it goes through all the different engines. Gives the popular label it has, all these different labels, so that way you can kind of figure out where it belongs. Now we go to details. That's where we're going to be getting all of our identifying characteristics that we can use to kind of identify this bad boy. We also get the first time it was seen. First time was submitted. Last time someone submitted something pertaining to it in the last analysis. All that's in UTC, by the way. That's why UTC is important. We're getting all this, getting more information about the executable itself. Let's go back up. Go to relations. Okay, and it's going to show us 4 different domains it's associated with. I'm sorry, I just remembered that we still have a question to ask, so I'm like just looking through everything. Okay. And there it is. Title, Operation Dream Job. What other things was it involved in? Lazarus Group, Operation Dream Job. So, let's go back. Lazarus Group conducted it. When was this operation first observed? So let's go find, I think it'll be under details. Let's see. Seen in the wild. That's what we're looking for. 2020 0813. See, that is interesting. So, what that probably means is that this has been changed 90 gajillion different times. So what we should do is, let's go ahead and let's do some research. This is threat intelligence, and intelligence involves research. My background, I come from an intelligence background. I did human intelligence. So I'm very familiar with how this goes. And look, MITRE has a nice little breakdown of all this stuff. Threat intel, threat intel, threat intel. It's important. Can't emphasize that enough. Threat intel is important. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So it looks like they were targeting U.S., Israel, Australia, Russia, and India, specifically in their government and defense / aerospace sector. So the sectors that, you know, are normally used for attacking people, like actually attacking people. Monetize it to conduct a small business email compromise op. 2020, we found overlapping TTPs. Operation Dream Job, North Star interception. Okay, so first scene, September of 2019. Bam. There are 2 campaigns associated with Operation Dream Job. One is Operation North Star. What is the other? It was right here, interception. I'm not taking very good notes, but you know what? That's something that we'll learn to do. This is an exercise, yes, but we should probably still take very thorough notes. Whoopsie. That is on me. We will do better. During Operation Dream Job, there were the 2 system binaries used for proxy execution. One was Reg Server 32. What was the other? So we have this. Let's look for execution specifically. And let's go Control X, F. There's red server 32. So, luckily they gave us the answer in the question, but still very important. Well, the breadcrumbs to the answer, because I could have looked up proxy execution as well. So it looks like they use reg server 32 and run DLL 32, right there. Now let's look for lateral movement. The whole purpose of this specific exercise is just knowing how to do threat intel research. I found something, and I don't know what it is. View. This is the pretty page I've been looking for this entire time. No, it's not. Oh, wait. I think it is, actually. Yes, this is what I was looking for. Beautiful. So, let's go ahead and take a looky look here. And what was the question? What lateral movement? Lateral movement. So, let's look for lateral movement. Control F lateral. So we can put two and two together. We could probably say, hey, they used 1 second, we're having a small, there we go. We could sit there and say, oh, well, they used this, but I want to actually be able to find it. We can assume that they did that with spear phishing, but we need to find it, so that way we can be for sure. So, right here, we have it, internal spear phishing. Boom. What is the technique ID for the previous thing? T1534. Boom. Well, we're almost there, guys. What remote Trojan access did the Lazarus group use in Operation DreamJob? Let's look up remote. Access. Let's look up Trojan then. Ah, there it is. During Operation DreamJob, so it's a software. This is good to know for the future. Because it's a software and it's a tool, it'll be down here. Important. So use DratSys to deploy open source software and partly commodity software, such as Responder, Wake on Land, and Chrome Pass to target infected hosts. So there we go. So now let's look for our execution. Actually, let's go here as well and see if we can find it here. So they asked, remote access Trojan used? Cool question. Remote access Trojan used in Operation DreamJob. So at least now, but let's make sure we come back and we do some research on this. Alright, sorry. We got ADD distracted. Transfer. So, what technique did malware use for execution? Look for our execution phase. Also, let me note that this right here, it goes in order of the of essentially the cyber attack life cycle, all the way from recon to exfiltration and the impact that's left behind. Important, because we will live here a lot sometimes in order to get all the information that we need. Sorry, back to what we were doing. Execution, yes. Execution. PowerShell was used, Visual Basic, Windows Bit, the conventional native API. Okay. What technique did the malware use to avoid detection in a sandbox? So let's look for defense evasion. So, yep, there it is. Time-based evasion. Okay. Got a couple more. Okay, utilize virus total in the IOC's text file. What is the first name associated with the first hash provided in the file? iExplorer.exe. Boom. When was a file associated with the second hash in the IOC first created? So let's go back and let's grab our second hash. And we'll actually just do this. And open a new tab. So let's look at that question again. When was a file associated with the second hash in the IOC first created? So first creation, 2025-12-1926 UTC. Bam. What was the name of the parent execution file associated with the second hash in the IOC? So that should, whoopsie, be under details. Parent execution file. That's portable execution file. Let's look at relations. There it goes. Execution parents. Right there. Boom. Examine the third hash provided. What is the file name likely used in the campaign that aligns with the adversary's known tactics? Let's look up number 3 in virus total. Make a new tab. Oh, cool. We have a little AI thingy right here. That's nice. That's a nice little touch. Alright, sorry. ADD happened. What was the question? Oh, it says something about the font. What is font name likely used for the third one? So, we're not going to find under here. Let's go under details. Details should give us alternate names. Look at that. Boom, right there. Which URL was contacted on 2022-08-03 by the file associated with the third hash in the IOC file? Which was contacted? Relations. Let's look at our URLs. Do they want a domain or IP? Let's check out URL. They want a URL, not not a domain or IP. They want actual full URL. So it's something for a job. Duh. Right there. Market trending center job opportunity. And bam, that's box number 2. So I'm going to end the stream, but I think that this should be available on YouTube, so check it out. But yeah, we'll come back. We'll do more stuff. That was a lot of fun. All right. Take care, guys. Bye.